कृष्णापस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते महाविष्णु गोस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णापस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भक्ति नष्टकी। By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. जय श्रीमद् भागवतम पुराण की जय, श्रीमद् भगवत गीता जी की जय, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, शिला गुरुदेव की जय। All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Nitya Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Jai. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for His Grace Amrish Prabhu and Her Grace Purna Pragya Devi Dasi Mataji and His Grace Krishna Smarpan Krishna Prabhu to give me this chance and training me for and giving this organizing this very wonderful program. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, and thank you for the opportunity.
Jai Shri Gurudev ki jai.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. So it's look like I think intermediate devotee is not here yet.
No, we are here. You start. You start.
I'll share my screen first, probably. Yeah. It's disabled, probably. Can you enable it?
Yeah, 1 second. I think he's putting it on Facebook and all that, Krishna Das.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. So.
All done now?
Yes, bro. Yes. Right. So we are we're studying Isopanishad, mantra 3. We covered half of it last session, so we're going to complete it today. So I'm going to recite 3 times the mantra, and then we'll read the translation. Asurya namate loka andhena tamasavritah tamste pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatmahano janaha. Asurya namate loka andhena tamasavritah tamaste pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatmahano janaha. Asurya namate loka andhena tamasavritah tamaste pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatmahano janaha. Hare Krishna. So, okay, so translation, what was synonym, translation and purport by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So the translation, the killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. So we have studied till this point. So yeah, so I'm going to read the purport further. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 41 to 43, it is stated that a man who enters upon the path of self-realization but does not complete the process, despite having sincerely tried to realize his relationship with God, is given a chance to appear in a family of Suchi or Srimat. The word Suchi indicates a spiritually advanced Brahmana, and Srimat indicates a Vaishya, a member of the mercantile community. So the person who fails to achieve self-realization is given a better chance in his next life due to his sincere efforts in this life. If even a fallen candidate is given a chance to take birth in a respectable and noble family, one can hardly imagine the status of one who has achieved success. By simply attempting to realize God, one is guaranteed birth in a wealthy or aristocratic family. So we'll stop here. So this is a very important point. And I just want to, before we discuss on this point, I want to cover what we discussed last session. We covered 4 points that there are 2 types of human beings, Sura and Asura. Sura is godly, and persons, and their aim is the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. And Asura is demons, and their aim is sense gratification. And then the second point was the human birth is very rare and is achieved after transmigration in 8.4 million species. So it's very valuable. And number 3 is that who is killer of the soul? So the person who is not fulfilling the purpose of the soul, which is soul is made for, is called killer of the soul, and that is self-realization. And number 4 is that current civilization is godless and encouraging more and more sense gratification, which is animalistic. So this godless civilization always keep us on the platform of satisfying the hungry stomach. So we cannot go towards the self-realization. So these are the main points that we covered last session. So now today, in this paragraph, Srila Prabhupada are saying that the first point is that what will happen if someone walks on this self-realization path, and what will happen if he doesn't complete or doesn't complete the doesn't achieve the goal. So there are 2 situations in that case. But before we discuss on that situation, I would like to refer one verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 40, that is stating that there is no loss on this path, and it will save you from the greatest type of fear. And what's that? So we'll discuss that. Sorry, I'll read that. That's Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 40, famous verse. Neha bhikramuna swasti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Translation: in this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So, even a small beginning, Lord is saying here, giving the guarantee that even a small beginning on Krishna consciousness will give permanent results. Now, what is this activity? Now, Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, in the first line, Srila Prabhupada are saying that activity in Krishna consciousness or acting for benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification. So that is the activity he's talking about. So actually, this is loving relationship. We have heard people talks about unconditional love, and this is actually impossible in this finding this unconditional love in this material world, because in material relationships, everyone try to gratify their senses. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. So that is how this material world has made. So finding unconditional love here is impossible. So this is going on, like scratching each other's back. So then people complain that they got cheated. As Srila Prabhupada says that there are many cheaters. If you want to be cheated, so there are many cheaters, so you'll find them easily. But only one person that will not cheat you is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So he is source of pure love. So when we work for benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification, that is Krishna consciousness activity, and which gives us permanent result. So because Krishna is Suharta, it's called Suharta. Srila Prabhupada explained that Krishna is our true friend. And we have studied previously that there is 5 rasas we can have relationship with Krishna: Shanta rasa, neutrality; Dasya, servitorship; Sakhya, friendship; Vatsalya, parenthood; and Madhurya, conjugal love. So in these rasas we can have a relationship with Krishna. The main thing is when Srila Prabhupada are talking about here, first line, that when we acting the benefit of Krishna without any expectation of sense gratification, that activity is Krishna consciousness activity. So we need, that point needs to be understood here, that when we talks about that, when we follow the devotion service, that gives us permanent results. So now, in the next point is what will happen. Now we come to this point that Srila Prabhupada are describing here, that in the main purport, that now the next point is that what will happen if you cannot complete the process of self-realization, and despite having sincerely tried to realize your relationship with God. Now, this is explained in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, that's referred here in the purport, verse 41, 42, and 43. So that is, in there's a such person will get chance to appear in a family of Suchi, either Brahmana or Shrimad, a mercantile family. So there are 2 situations in that. So we'll cover one by one. So the first situation in chapter 6, verse 41. So the verse is Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvatahi samaha suchinam shrimatam gehe yoga bhrashto abhijayate. Translation: the unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. And I'll just read a few lines of purport. The unsuccessful yogis are divided into 2 classes. One is fallen after very little progress, and one is fallen after long practice of yoga. The yogis who falls after a short period of practice, goes to the higher planets, where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, he is sent back again to this planet to take birth in the family of a righteous Brahmana, Vaishnava, or aristocratic merchants. So here we can understand that that the first situation, that after very little progress, if a yogi falls, this little progress is permanent and get chance to enter into the higher planets where he lives prolonged life. So when we walk on this path, when we follow bhakti yoga, devotion service, and some reason if we done very little, but still it gives the results. It gives the permanent results. How? That we get chance to born in higher planets with a prolonged life, and after that sent back to earth to take birth in a righteous Brahmana, Vaishnava, or mercantile family. Shrimat, one is Suchi, is Brahmana, and Shrimat is the mercantile family. Now, this looks like very good deal, and one may think that, oh, I will get chance to enjoy in higher planets, and then after take birth in rich family. But when we think about seriously, what is the guarantee is there that in a rich family, when we take birth, that we will get an association of pure devotees? That is the biggest risk here. One should not think like that he will enjoy, and because that is, again, it's not self-realization path. So that we will and now, like Srila, we get the chance now to associate with Srila Prabhupada, read Srila Prabhupada books, associate with like-minded devotees. So why should we lose this chance over this prolonged life of enjoyment? And then, because who will guarantee that when we come back, where we're going to born, like where we're going to take birth? So will we get any association of pure devotees, or definitely Srila Prabhupada or not? So that's the biggest risk, because this bewilderment is Maya, because if we say we take a birth in mercantile family, so wealth and prestige, it bewilder us, and we won't be. It will be very difficult to go towards self-realization again. And on the other hand, now we have this. We come into contact with Srila Prabhupada and the association of like-minded devotees by the extreme causeless mercy of Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada. So why take chances? Why not complete the process now by sincerely following the process? So this is the actually biggest fear for us, and that leaving the association of Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Krishna will reward us in whatever capacity we have done the devotional service, but this is the greatest fear, that not completing the devotional service in this current life, but this chance that we have. So that is the first situation. So because Krishna is merciful and he's still rewarding us whatever capacity we have done. But now the second situation is in the second verse, that is verse number 42. Athva yoginameva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhi durlabhartam bhatram loke janma yadishram. Translation: or he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Verily, such a birth is rare in this world. Now, yeah, this one is for the yogis who have done their practices for long time, and some reason either they fall down or couldn't complete it. So this is for them. And the benefit of that is that they will take birth in a transcendentalist family, where from the beginning, Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport that in beginning, they will get this spiritual impetus, So, and Srila Prabhupada are giving the example of, he's saying that fortunately both are spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such families. By the grace of the Lord, and both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system. So this is for the second situation, and Srila Prabhupada are giving the example of his Gurudev and Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada himself. So yeah, this is the second situation. So when after long practice, if a yogi falls down or could not complete the process, he gets the chance to take birth in transcendental family. And in such families, child receives the spiritual impetus from very beginning of his life. So we can see that children born in devotees family get this chance from childhood, even before born in the womb of the mother, because mother as a devotee, she's performing devotion service, chanting, arti, and studying Srila Prabhupada books, attending kirtans and various devotion services. So the children in devotee families are very special. And this way, we must always make sure that we give devotees devotional service atmosphere to these children, because these children are in previous life, they already they couldn't complete the devotional service, or could complete the process. So this is a second situation. Now the third verse is related to that verse number 43. Tatra tam buddhi samyogam labhate povarva dehikam yatate cha tato bhuyaha samsiddho kuru nandana. Translation: on taking such a birth, he again revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Guru. So here this verse is also talks about that after taking the birth, then he carry on the divine consciousness, or revive the divine consciousness from previous life. And here Srila Prabhupada are giving the example of Jada Bharat or King Bharat. In the purport, I'll just quickly read that. King Bharat, who took his third birth in the family of a good Brahmana, is an example of good birth of the revival of previous transcendental consciousness. King Bharat was the emperor of the world, and since his time, this planet is known among the demigods as Bharatvarsh. Formerly, it was known as Ilavratvarsh. The emperor, at an early age, retired for spiritual perfection, but failed to achieve success. In his next life, he took birth in a family of a good Brahmana and was known as Jada Bharat, because he always remained secluded and did not talk to anyone. And later on, he was discovered as the greatest transcendentalist by King Rahuguna. From his life, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. So here in this verse, so this is Jada Bharat's katha in Srimad Bhagavatam, that the first birth, the King Bharat got attached with a deer, which he saved from a river. and died on contemplating on the deer. And thus in next life he born as a deer, because in Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that in 8.16 that whatever consciousness we die in, we will get the same birth. That's a famous verse. Yam yam vapi smarna bhavam tyajyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fear. So here, King Bharat was contemplating on deer, and then he took the birth as a deer in next life. So he took the birth as a deer, but by the grace of the Lord, he remembered his previous birth. And third birth, he born as Jada Bharat in a Brahmana family. Bharat Maharaj know the Maya, the influence of Maya. So he decided to remain Jada, or behaving like a mad person. So the main point here is that transcendental activities never go in vain. Lord is so merciful that he gives us the repeated chance to complete on Krishna consciousness perfection. So if we are sincere, very sincere, and we develop relationship, so some reason if you couldn't complete, so Lord gives us the chance, repeated chance to complete that process. So that is the main point that discussed in the main purport when we studied of mantra 3. Just go on that one again. Yeah, so this one where Srila Prabhupada are explaining that we will get a birth in family of Suchi and Srimad. So now the remaining purport we can read, but before that, I think devotees Hare, Somya Mataji is here. So you heard Mataji what we discussed?
Yes, Prabhuji, I heard.
Okay, so is any question or any clarification you need on that?
No, Prabhuji,
That
it's
point.
clear.
Okay. Will you be able to read the remaining?
Yes,
purport?
Prabhuji. Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Okay, Mataji. So we're starting from here. But
But those who do not even make an attempt, who want to be covered by illusion, who are too materialistic and too attached to material enjoyment, must enter into the darkest regions of hell, as confirmed through the Vedic literature. Such materialistic asurs sometimes make a show of religion, but their ultimate aim is material prosperity. The Bhagavad Gita 16.17 to 18 rebukes such men by calling them Atma Sambhavita, meaning that they are considered great only on the strength of deception and are empowered by the boasts of the ignorant and by their own material wealth. Such asurs, devoid of self-realization and knowledge of Ishavasya, the Lord's universal proprietorship, are certain to enter into the darkest regions.
yes.
The, con-
Yes, Mataji, you can. It's only 2 lines after that. Yeah.
the conclusion is that as human beings, we are meant not simply for solving economic problems on a tottering platform, but for solving all the problems of the material life into which we have been placed by the laws of nature.
Yes. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here, Srila Prabhupada are talking about now asuras, the other side, the people who are the killer of the soul, who's the main this verse talks about. Now, here the reference is Bhagavad Gita chapter 16, verse 17, because in this chapter there are nature defines demons and suras and asuras, So I'll just recite this verse, chapter 16. Yeah. Atma sambhavitaha stabda dhanamana madanvitaha yajante nama yajnaiste dambhena vidhi purvakam. Translation: self-completion and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes perform sacrifices in name only, without following any rules and regulations. So he's talking about the Asuric nature, the people who are in that nature, who are like a demon-like nature. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada are saying, thinking themselves all in all, not caring for any authority or scriptures, the demonic sometimes perform so-called religious or sacrificial rites. And since they do not believe in authority, they are very impudent. This is due to illusion caused by accumulating some wealth and false prestige. Sometimes such demons take up the role of preacher, mislead the people, and become known as religious reformers or as incarnation of God. They make a show of performing sacrifices, or they worship the demigods or manufacture their own god. Common men advertise them as God and worship them, and by the foolish, they are considered advanced in the principles of religion or in the principles of spiritual knowledge. They take the dress of the renounced order of life and engage in all nonsense in that dress. Actually, there are so many restrictions for one who has renounced this world. The demons, however, do not care for such restrictions. They think that whatever path one can create is one's own path. There is no such thing as a standard path. One has to follow. The word avidhi purvakam, meaning disregard for the rules and regulations, is especially stressed here. These things are always due to ignorance and illusion. So Srila Prabhupada explained these demoniac people, how they behave, how they are illusioned with their prestige and wealth. So such asuras first thinking themselves all in all, that we are the ones, so nobody else, So, and the second, they do not believe in authority. That is another main problem. So actually what makes us human being different from animals is that we can introspect and realize that there is a higher authority than us. And that is different thing, that people go to different demigods and different gurus, more so-called gurus, but at least this is a first step to recognizing towards the higher authority. But in case of these asuras, they do not accept any authority, and they want to become authority themselves and to take advantage of people, So they concoct their own ways and manufacture their own god, or themselves become a god, So this is biggest sign of asuras. So they want to become god and exploit other people. In this illusion, this is very big illusion. This is a maya. So, and this is explained in the next verse. That's verse number 18. That's referred here. Yeah. Last verse. Ahankaram balam tarpam kamam krodham cha samsritaha mam atma paradeheshu parvishanto bhayasuyaka. Translation: bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demon becomes envious of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in his own body and in the bodies of others, and blasphemes against the real religion. So they get bewildered by these things: false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, and then they blaspheme real religion of God. So in just purport few lines, a demonic person, being always against God's supremacy, does not like to believe in the scriptures. He is envious of both the scriptures and of the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is caused by his so-called prestige and his accumulation of wealth and strength. He does not know that the present life is a preparation for the next life. Not knowing this, he actually envious of his own self as well as of the others. He commits violence on others' bodies and on his own. So in this illusion, in this false illusion that I got money, I got power, I got prestige, and he behaves in such a way that he denies the authority of the court, So one point that Srila Prabhupada said here, that not knowing this, he is actually envious of his own self as well as of others. And then he commits violence on other bodies and on his own. So this envious nature, actually, when we see closely, why we are here in this material world? Because we are envious of Krishna. Because we want to become like Krishna. We want to become Krishna. So Krishna is so merciful. He created this material world. So where we can, given us the facility, so we can load it over the material nature. But in all this, we get, because we are envious of Krishna, so we controlled by the laws of nature. We think that we are independent. We think that we can load it over the nature, but in reality, we are controlled, heavily controlled by laws of nature. And this, and when we become envious, then we commit violence against others, and we suffer ourselves as well. Because this few examples, like people killing animals for the taste of the tongue, cheating other people, exploiting others, or committing violence on others, So when you are in a power or in authoritative position, if you exploit your dependents or subordinates for your sense gratification, and still showing that you are still a big authority, that is the biggest violence and demonic nature. Srila Prabhupada said in previous purport that sometimes such demons take up the roles of preachers and mislead people and becomes known as a religious reformers or as an incarnation of God. We've seen so many examples in society that people pose themselves as a big gurus or big reformers or religious heads, but in reality, so many charges of rapes and children exploitations and all that comes in light. So we can see that people, they try to pose themselves, but in reality it is different. Because why? Because they are envious. They are envious of God, they are envious of others, and then they commit violence. So all this is because of envious nature and envy of Krishna. Such asuras devoid of self-realization and knowledge of Isavasya and certain to enter into the darkest region of hell, because they are the killer of the soul. So in the conclusion, Srila Prabhupada said that we are not meant for simply solving economic problems or ahar, nidra, bhay, maithun. So these are basic on tottering platform. So this material life is tottering. The tottering is going here and there. So in one moment, everything can collapse. There are so many situations we can see. Earthquake can come, and that's just the outside, but in your body, you don't know what's happening. So many nowadays heart disease is coming, cancer is there, anything can diagnose, and then all your plans and everything is just destroyed. It's all gone. Your whole thinking is different then, because you for sure that you don't have much time left. So this can collapse anytime. So nowadays we can see that people have these problems, and we not even if you don't have any ailment, we are still traveling with fast cars and flying with planes and anything. They're all machines, Anytime the machine can fail. Not your machine, others' machine can fail and then come and collide in you. So that is a tottering platform. You never know what's going to happen next. And in that tottering platform, we try to make a permanent plans here. And that is illusion. That is the biggest illusion or biggest maya. So, and we try to making a big plans of solving economic problems. And we in that we forget the real purpose of life, self-realization. And this is in this conclusion that Srila Prabhupada said in the end. So the killer of the soul, that's the main message of this verse, that when we're not following the purpose, the self-realization, then we'll be put into a dark region where we suffer perpetually. So, yeah. Is any question or comment or any point you want clarification on this point? Okay. Okay. Now, what we'll do, because in the beginning, we haven't recited, I will recite the verse again and translation. So give us more understanding on these points. Yeah. Mantra 3. Asurya namate loka andhena tamasavritaha tamaste pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatmahano janaha. Atmahano, that's the killer of the soul. So, would you like to recite, Mataji? Somaya Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Recite 3 times, Mataji. Yeah.
Suryanamate loka andhena tamasavritaha tamse pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatmahano janaha. Suryanamate loka andhena tamasavritaha tamse pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatmahano janaha. Suryanamate loka andhena tamasavrita tamse pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatmahano janaha.
Very nice. Thank you. And the translation?
Translation by Shri Prabhupada. The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance.
Yes. Thank you. I think other devotees are here. Hare Krishna, Mayuresh Prabhu. Are you there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, yeah.
Can you see the screen that we shared?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Will you be able to recite the mantra, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Prabhu. There is just a lot of noise in the background, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I can hear you properly, though.
Yeah,
I
Prabhu.
think-
I will sing the verse, Prabhu. Hare
Yes.
Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Asurya namate loka andena tam savrata tamaste pretyabhigachanti eke chatma hanojana.
Once more, Prabhu.
Asurya namate loka andena tam savrata tamaste pretyabhigachanti eke chatma hano jana.
Yes. Translation.
Translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance.
Thank you. Yes, bro. Mataji is here. Hare Krishna, Divanshi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. So, can you recite the verse, please?
Yes, Prabhuji. Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Asuryanam te loka andhena tamasavrita tamste pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatma hano jana.
Yes, Mataji. 3 times.
Asuryanam te loka andhena tamasavrita tamste pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatma hano jana. Asuryanam te loka andhena tamasavrita tamste pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatma hano jana.
Yes. Translation.
The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance.
Yes. Hare Krishna. So, yeah. So this is now. I just want to ask. Did you hear the whole program, Mataji? The whole class?
Prabhuji, I missed the first 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to, yeah, because we discussed 2 main things here and some important verses as well from Bhagavad Gita. So, if you have any question or clarification, I just wanted to ask. I will suggest that you will again watch or
Okay.
listen this on YouTube.
Yes, I'll watch it again, but so far I have no other questions.
Yes. Okay. And as our system is like, if you have any questions or any clarification needed, so you can post in the WhatsApp group and by Wednesday. And if we won't receive any questions or any clarification needed, then we will start automatically the next mantras on the following Saturday. Following Sunday class.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I think Somya Mataji raised the hand. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I had a question.
Yes.
Could I ask it now? Yes. Prabhuji, over here it was written that a killer of a soul is someone who is not realizing the meaning of their human form, right? Like, what my question was, Prabhuji, that if someone is worshipping demigods, if they are not really exactly Krishna consciousness and they are not aware of these things, but they are worshipping demigods, and but they are not practicing all the regulative principles, or they might be practicing some, they might not be. Like the majority of the population that we see, like that I see normally, even if they are worshipping demigods, but they are not aware of Krishna consciousness, would they still be a killer of the soul?
Yes, good question. So, yeah, as Srila Prabhupada explained here as well, and in Bhagavad Gita, it's also explained that people who is worshipping demigods, they're doing it avidhi purvakam. You know, there is a word here is avidhi purvakam. It's not vidhi purvakam, doing the worship, because ultimately Krishna is Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all the demigods, they get power from Lord Krishna, right? So people going to demigods for their own material desires, to fulfill their material desires. So it's not very intelligent. It is said in Bhagavad Gita also, it's not very intelligent to go there. No, there are 4 types of pious people who goes to Krishna. One of them is Artharthi, means they are going to Krishna for material desires. So even if you want something for material desires, you go to Krishna. So Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is Vidhi Purvakam. But yes, the killer of the soul is the person who is not fulfilling the purpose of the soul. Purpose of the soul is self-realization. So if you are going anywhere without fulfilling your material desires, then you are not fulfilling that purpose. So either to demigods, either to scientific advancements, or either to a so-called guru who can do some miracles, So, but again, in going to demigods, there is like, because demigods are the devotees of the Lord, right? So they are accepting the higher authority. That is a one step towards accepting the higher authority. The killer of the soul or the demons, they don't accept any authority of Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Yes, demigod worshippers, they're doing it avidhi purvakam, but at least they are doing it. They are accepting the higher authority. Yeah. So in that way, it's not killer of the soul, but if they're not realizing or doing the self-realization path, they're not working on that according to this mantra. Yes, the person who is not fulfilling that purpose is killer of the soul. Yeah. Ultimately, if you going there for material desires, you are tangled anyway. So you have to come back again and again with material world. So it's not solving the purpose. But I think His Grace Amrish Prabhu is here. I can request Amrish Prabhu to doing more clarification on this point, probably. Hare Krishna, Amrish Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Bol Prabhuji. Your answer is correct. We are clear of the soul. Anything less than worshipping Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead, it means that you are coming to take birth again in the material world. The answer is yes. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Somaya Mataji. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. Thank you. So I think we'll stop here if there is no other questions. I'll wait for 10 seconds. Right. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Amrish Prabhu. So
Yes, thank you
can
very
take a
much.
break.
We'll take a break now. Yeah.
Should I
We'll disconnect from YouTube. Thank you very much.
You'll do that. Okay. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Bol.